It's important first to be in rooms. You're not going to know the right rooms to be in until you practice being in rooms, right? So don't worry about the right room yet. Just get in rooms. Go on LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn profile, start looking at groups on LinkedIn that deal with topics you care about. So if you want to get into real estate, go on LinkedIn, create a profile, type in real estate. There's a button that says groups, hit groups, see what groups come up, right? Do the same thing on Facebook. You'll find groups that are around. Go to those meetings. I don't even care if you meet anybody. I just want you to hear the conversations because it's going to force you to ask questions.
What's going on, good people? Welcome to another episode of First Generation Wealth Builders. So, man, we back at it, and I'm dealing with Dre.
What's up, sir? How you doing?
Chilling, man. Hey, it's been a long time since you've been in the hot seat.
Yeah, man, you've been making new money, man. You got other things going on, man.
No, absolutely not. I've been spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
But despite that, man, just getting off vacation, right?
Yeah. Wife and I just came off a vacation. This was not a trip. Before you even go there, this was not a trip.
Hey,
This was vacation.
I just want the people to know to go back a couple episodes. He just came back from another vacation. So
Look.
Dre's on a roll right now.
I don't know about all that.
I'm just saying. Got you, man. So where did you go this time?
So we went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Got you. I've never been there. What was that like?
I hadn't either. My wife went there as a kid, and she's been big on I want to take the kids to the beach. She's been telling me that since we had kids. So this was my first time. She's been before. Took them down. She was kind of showing me around. It's a real cool vibe, man. It's like, have you ever been to Boca Raton?
Mm-hmm.
It's Boca Raton, but it's for families, and the age range is closer to 35, 40, where
Gotcha.
Boca Raton hits that higher end.
Got you. Bring the mic in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Got you. How long did you go for?
A week. We originally planned to go for 3 days, 4 days, and then we got down there and it was good to us, so we stayed a couple more days.
It was good to you.
Yeah, man.
Hey, what was good to you?
Seeing the ocean, and we were down there plotting too, because I got to talk to you about these vacation rentals. Because that's we was down there plotting, and being able to give our kids, that experience was amazing, right? Mm-hmm. Just letting them see the ocean and play in it carefree, have no concept of really, you know what I mean, what it took to make all that happen. Taking them out to dinner at different places they hadn't been yet.
You told me you took them to Ruth Chris for the first time.
Yeah, we took them to Ruth Chris for the first time. So for y'all out there in podcast land, we have 3 kids. My wife and I have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5. So it was their first time going to Ruth Chris, and they've been different places before, and they kind of understand how to order some stuff. They're still figuring it out. But this was the first time they really went somewhere that was really, considered upscale. So they're like, can we get salmon? We're like, you can order whatever you want.
Right,
you know what I mean? Just trying to teach them, because we was raised on Ryan's and Shoney's. It wasn't no order whatever you want. It was going to this buffet. So seeing them really kind of interact and engage in that environment and in that space was just like man, how far we've come in one generation. You know what I mean? For what going out to eat meant when I was a kid versus what going out to eat means with them being kids. So we get back, and my oldest daughter, we were driving to go get something to eat, yesterday, the day before. She's like, can we go back to Ruth Chris? Nah. Look, you're not finna go to Ruth Chris every day. That's not how this works. But yeah, man, that was a good example.
That means they enjoyed it though, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Got you. And they appreciated the first class treatment.
And I gotta make them hard to date. That's what I realized. I gotta make them hard to date.
I've been told that about myself and my girls.
My wife told me that. She was like, you realize like you're gonna make them difficult for people to date.
So it just depends. And so I'll bring you into my world.
Yeah.
So the truth is, for me, when I first had kids, I was 19.
Right.
I came back from IU, and then came back to IUPUI, and then I felt I had to be responsible and get insurance. So I worked at Best Buy, and then I became a manager there. And then had the insurance gig, still was going through school. So I was in school, working, DJing.
Yeah.
And had kids. So like my time was my windows when with the kids wasn't as big as their moms and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I was doing well DJing and things like that. So then it came a point where I was just DJing.
Yeah.
But their mom wasn't. She had to work hard for everything she did. She's a good mom. I'm not, this is not a diss segment, but and then there came a time where the recession came and I plummeted in everything that I was doing because I was an insurance agent, and then DJing was all I had. But then competition became a little bit more aggressive, just because Soretto, meaning we went off records to then computer DJing. So there was more DJs. So getting gigs was a little bit tougher at a high premium.
Sure.
So instead of DJing $500 a night, 2 or 3 nights, it was more like $300, $350.
Yeah.
So paying the bills, got a little bit tougher. You know what I mean? So you had to DJ more to make the same. Long story short, though, in between there, though, I had my failures, and so I think that I was growing up as my kids were growing up.
Okay.
And so we didn't always have the luxuries that we have today.
Right.
And so in between there, you still got grandma, my mother, that, got her old-fashioned ways, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that never left. And I needed her support a lot because I was DJing.
Yeah.
So they spent a lot of time with her in the evenings when I would have to go.
Yeah.
So, to speed up, her hair company came in 2012. My kids were, my oldest was 10. My youngest was 8. And so that first 2 or 3 years I had business, I only paid myself $40,000.
Yeah.
So we still were living that same lifestyle because I was investing a lot back into my company.
Right.
And so obviously in 2015 or so, came a point to where like I wanted to enjoy the fruit of my labor and things of that nature. I paid myself a little bit more, and we started taking trips. We started going to, we had season tickets for the Pacers, codes. We started traveling the world, and my kids were teenagers, so it was a great time for me because they could also, the memories that they were getting, they're going to remember them.
Yeah.
So I would say though, a lot of people look at myself as I'm privileged. I get that whole crap about must be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you lucky.
Yeah.
Not
realizing how much work you did.
Yeah. They didn't understand that. When I got out of the military, I didn't have a vehicle because everything got repossessed from the robbery that I was in.
Yeah.
I sold my CDJs and turntables to get a Nissan Altima.
Right.
So that was my sacrifice.
Yeah.
To just get wheels.
Right.
And I would borrow turntables to go DJ.
Right.
So my kids have witnessed all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Today, everybody think it's cool because they sit in the back of an S-Class.
Yeah.
But my kids actually went through all the, dumb stuff.
Yeah.
So long story short, to speed things back up, man, obviously, it's very easy to get comfortable in the lifestyle and the things that we do daily. But Alex is outside of this office.
Right.
Alex had to negotiate her salary when she came back to work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she wasn't going to get an increase.
Yeah.
So I try my best to allow my kids to earn it.
Yeah.
And go from there. Yeah. Alyssa, she has to poop scoop. She got to mow the grass. She has to take care of home.
Yeah.
Because she has track, so her responsibility is a little bit different.
Right.
But at the end of the week, she gets her $40 or whatever.
Yeah.
And she still has a job.
Yeah.
And just because she got to know that I got a job, but you still got to take care of home.
Right.
So I try my best. I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Yeah.
To continue to let my kids earn.
Yeah.
Their way through life.
Yeah.
As in contrast to having a privileged mindset that daddy got it.
So I got it.
Yeah.
You do not.
Yeah.
You're broke.
Yeah. So, that was just to kind of, bring you kind of into my world. And as you continue, and I hope that you continue to have success, and you will, that's just kind of like a formula that I see worked. Yeah. Therefore, like, they understand that, like, they have to build their own.
It's funny you use the word earn, I hate when people tell me I deserve something. It's the biggest lie mankind has told itself.
Right. You deserve it. No, that's the shit you're supposed to do. You're supposed to
Not
work.
even that. Not even that. Like, so I try to base everything on biblical principles and biblical truth. The Bible says we deserve death. The wages of sin is death. It's a biblical verse, right? So, and then the Bible says all men have fallen short. It means everybody's sin. So no one's exempt. And if the wages of sin is death, what you deserve is to die.
Right.
But you have grace and mercy, which follows you and stalks you all the days of your life. Again, Bible verse. So because of God's grace and mercy, we get to live and enjoy all this other stuff. So when people tell me I deserve something, I'm like, no, that is the furthest thing from the truth. Don't tell yourself that lie, because then it makes it seem like in my mind, I don't have to work as hard because I just deserve this by sheerly existing. And the fact is, you don't work, you don't eat. So I don't deserve anything but death.
Hey man, so now that you say that, I got a question. I got a question. How do you be feeling about all the social media manifestation? You got these rocks, and let me not disrespect nobody. First of all, they got the crystals that bring joy, happiness,
Yeah.
and that they deserve.
So I think I always say this, and it's based on another biblical verse. You can justify anything if you think about it long enough. Right? So what I think is people have products that they want to sell. I think they may, at their core, feel some way about what they're doing, but they justify doing it because they've thought about something long enough to say, well, this makes it okay, right? Whatever that might be. It could be even me and you, right? I'm going to go work because I know I got to take care of these kids. And my wife, I'll justify stuff that way if I think about it long enough. My wife has to tell me all the time, I'd rather have your time than your money, right? So I think it's just a human behavior. We all justify things if we think about them long enough. So I think in contrast, on the consumer side, right? If that deals with the person selling it, we got to deal with the person buying it too. On the consumer side, you've justified these crystals or rocks or whatever.
Hey, we gonna catch smoke because it is.
And I'm not saying they're wrong.
I get it.
I'm not saying they're right either. I'm just saying.
I'm talking about the rocks comment.
I'm just continuing the example. I'm saying on the consumer side, you've rationalized this in your mind that getting this thing is going to help you do X, Y, and Z. I'm not saying it will, I'm not saying it won't, because I don't subscribe to that thinking. So I can't say for certain it works or it doesn't.
But you subscribe to the Bible, and the Bible says.
So now you want me? We're not finna do that.
Hey, man.
We're not finna use Bible.
Hey, I'm just curious, bro, because that's what you subscribe to.
I'm saying,
and I respect your subscription.
yeah. So here's what my conviction, my belief tells me. Anything that I am doing that I can't tie back to, and I have things that I do that I can't do this for, that I can't tie back to God's intended design for that thing, is an abuse of that privilege, whatever it might be, right? So my abuse of that privilege has been shoes lately. I've been buying shoes like crazy, right? Like,
Hey, I got you today, bro. They don't know, bro, but we come in this thing.
it's a whole thing, yeah.
I got you today.
It's a
Okay,
whole
go ahead.
thing.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So that is my abuse of the privilege that God's given me, right? And we all have to deal with those. So even, I don't care if you're buying rocks, I don't care if you're buying incense, whatever it is, it's not about judging the person for what they're doing. It's about understanding this is a human trait that we all have. It's a temptation we all have to deal with. So let me not run my mouth about how you're dealing with your version, because my version right now is shoes, and that's not okay either.
Understood. Got you. Man, let's tap into this thing, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to, talk to you about the power of proximity.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about like your career, whether it's the military, your work career outside of the military, your corporate career, And I think that although this is about real estate,
Yeah.
I do my own networking on this side of things that has empowered me as an individual to acquire and expedite and avoid
Yeah.
potholes. So I want to know how you've benefited from mentorship.
Um, mentorship outside. The only thing I've done that is attributed to whatever amount of success people think I have was participate. That's all I did. What I mean by that is like if you're an athlete, you got to at least show up to practice, but somebody else writes the workout, and then you got to participate, right?
You got to
But
execute in essence.
exactly, you have to execute. Let's use that. So you can execute in a closet by yourself all day and no one's going to know. It's not until you come out of the closet, take a break from executing, and you go shake somebody's hand, you go smile, with a person, you go do some of these other things to start to learn what I call wraparound services. Every person who has a skill set needs wraparound services to make
Explain
that
that.
thing come to life. So I DJ, right? So as a DJ, I could go in the closet and practice for 20 years, the perfect cuts and the perfect scratches. But in today's world, I have to be able to DJ virtually. So I'm reaching people in Belgium, I'm reaching people in Switzerland, in all these other places. But in order to do that, I needed somebody who knew what camera I should buy. I had to go meet those people, right? I needed somebody to tell me the right audio interface. I needed an audio person to have that conversation with me. I needed somebody that could help me figure out how to get backdrops so that they look the right way. I had to talk to somebody about a green screen. That's a person who does movies, right? So, as great as I might have been had I stayed in the closet for the next 20 years, it wouldn't have made a bit of difference because no one would have seen me. I needed those wraparound services to make sure that what I was doing presented well. Same thing with you, right? Somebody had to talk to you about here's what cameras you need, here's the lighting you need, here's all these different elements that are gonna make your presentation a cut above where it would be. Not your skill set, but the presentation overall. That's what I mean. Those wraparound services are really, really important. You don't establish those unless you go out in your off time and go meet people at networking events. I'll give you an example. A guy I went to college with, he's in the sports industry, sports and entertainment. He posted a flyer yesterday about people in the sports industry starting to network here in the city. Shouts out to Daryl Morton.
Yeah, no, D.
I'm not in the sports industry at all, but I saw that and I'm like, I want to meet those people. So just playfully, I said, I'm in the life sciences industry. Am I allowed to come? And he was like, bro, it would be an honor. Like, absolutely come. So I didn't want to invite myself or force myself on that group because I didn't know the situation. But by doing it that way, I got a warm introduction. And it's somebody that I already have a personal relationship. But like I said, I met him in college. That networking in college is paying dividends in that particular instance. Because had I not been connected to him in college, I wouldn't be connected to him on LinkedIn. I wouldn't have seen the post. I wouldn't have said anything. All those things happened because I built a relationship in college.
What would you say to somebody who, feels like they could figure it out on their own?
Yeah, you can. And you'll be
But
broke.
why you say that?
It is expensive, more expensive than you can carry to figure it out on your own, right?
What's the cost?
Your life. Steve Jobs is not Steve Jobs without Steve Wozniak.
Facts.
Does not happen, right? You spend money. You spend it twice when you're trying to do it on your own. You spend it in money financially, and you spend it in time, and you cannot get the time back. So let's say you go off on an endeavor by yourself. You've never done it before. It's your first time doing it, and you're just going to grit it out, right? The number of mistakes you're going to make, it's inevitable, are way more impactful, and the number of them is going to be a higher quantity. And the worst part is you won't even know you made the mistake until 2 or 3 iterations down the road. There are so many instances when I was like first starting out as an IT person, I was in COBOL programming. COBOL is a programming language that reads like English. But I used to think it was as simple as being able to read those statements and then figure out what statements need to be injected into the code to make whatever I needed to have happen. What I learned through that trial and error and hours upon hours upon hours sitting by myself, reading books and forcing myself to figure it out was I should have just asked the person in the cube next to me. She had 20 years of experience, and the code I was writing was hers. She was the original person writing the code. So I had the answer. I had the playbook right there. I just refused to open my mouth and ask for that support. So, I mean, I spent hours upon hours trying to figure out how to change this, small section of code. And I wasn't sure what to do. And everything I would test wouldn't work out right. Because to figure out how your code works, and I'll close this out because I know this gets pretty geeky. To make sure your code works right, you write it and then you do a debugging process. You basically hit play and then it'll spit out errors. I just kept getting errors. I couldn't get it to run. So finally reach over to her. She gives me one small suggestion, changes everything in 15 seconds. I would not have known how to solve the problem, one, unless I just kept going through it until I figured it out. I would not have known what the mistake was, and I wouldn't have known how to recover. She did all three of those in that instance. So if you talk about someone trying to do the process on their own, it assumes you're going to be able to solve the problem in a reasonable amount of time. It assumes that because you solved the problem, you're going to know what the root cause of it was, and it assumes you're going to know how to correct it. Many people end up with workarounds and not solutions. It's important to have people in place that can help you figure out the difference between the two. You might have a workaround, but that workaround may only work in one scenario. You need a solution so you don't have to come back and touch it again. That's where it gets to be expensive in time and in money.
Got you. Well, what advice would you give to somebody on how to approach a mentor? Like in that situation, that's your coworker. It's a little bit easier because you're working towards solving a problem, I would think, in most cases. Maybe not that case,
not
but
in
in
that
most
instance.
cases.
You're right.
You know what I mean? We're in the same building. Hey, we got a common goal.
Yep.
Let's fix it. But let's talk about, like, hey, I want to learn a skill set.
Yeah.
How would you encourage somebody to pursue, what angle to take?
Yeah. I would say it's important first to be in rooms. You're not going to know the right rooms to be in until you practice being in rooms, right? So don't worry about the right room yet. Just get in rooms. Go on LinkedIn, create a LinkedIn profile, start looking at groups on LinkedIn that deal with topics you care about. So if you want to get into real estate, go on LinkedIn, create a profile, type in real estate. There's a button that says groups. Hit groups, see what groups come up, right? Do the same thing on Facebook. You'll find groups that are around. Go to those meetings. I don't even care if you meet anybody. I just want you to hear the conversations because it's going to force you to ask questions. When you start having questions, now you're ready to go talk to somebody. So whoever you were listening to in that meeting that caused you to have a question, you now have an in to go talk to that person. Go ask the question you thought of to that person in that meeting. Doesn't have to be that day. Doesn't have to be the next day. You might follow up with them on LinkedIn and try to connect and send them a message with your question. Hey, so-and-so, I saw you on such and such a day at such and such group. You gave a talk on X, Y, and Z, and I had a follow-up question. Would love to talk to you more about blah, 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 question mark. How can we connect?
Gotcha. Understood.
That's what I would tell you to do. But it's more important about getting in rooms than it is getting in that room and then meeting that person. Like that'll happen. You just got to consistently be in rooms.
Got you. So I'm gonna take an angle that you might not like, but I think it's very, very important to really for this individual to hear this.
Okay.
I'm gonna use a name this time.
Oh, okay.
And, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it.
So we already talked about the rocks. Look.
Yeah. Fuck it, man. Watch the other podcast too. We probably talk about rocks then, so you can get stimulated. All right. So Dig, one day you told Ziggy, you don't ask enough questions. Yeah. You're in too many rooms and you're hanging out with Eric and a bunch of millionaires and you don't ask any questions. Why did you say that? And what did you notice about Ziggy that even made you want to reiterate that to him?
What I noticed about Ziggy is he doesn't realize he's sitting in a gold mine with his eyes closed. Literally, you're Everybody is trying to figure out how to secure their financial future. And you're sitting in rooms with people that have done that 10 times over. So not just their financial future, their wives if they have spouses, their kids if they have kids, and multiple generations ahead of them. He's 20 something, I believe.
20.
20, right? And the advantage that he has over me is I'm 40. He's got 20 years to figure it out, and I'm just getting started. So I'm just meeting some of these same people and haven't even met him yet. He's already in the room. I might know how to curate the conversation, but that's expected of me at 40. At 20, you're expected to fail and you're not taking the swings. You're not taking the at-bats. That's what I wanted him to get is you're in the room, you're at the stadium, the pitcher's at the mound, you got the bat in your hand and you won't swing. Nobody expects you to hit the ball yet. We just want you to swing. You'll figure it out if you swing, but if you won't swing, you'll never get there. You got all the tools that you need, just swing the bat. And I think at 20, I was talking to myself at 20. That's what it was. I was talking to myself at 20 and trying to say, little bro, like it as scary as it might seem, as intimidating as the room might be, everybody already knows you're intimidated because we were already 20. What you don't realize is you've not been 40 yet. And I'm trying to save you the roadblocks, the bumps, the pitfalls, and the shortcomings of just simply not practicing asking questions. One of my best skill sets is I ask questions well. I only do that because I've practiced asking questions. That's what I was trying to get him to understand.
Boom, got you. All right. So to wrap this up, my last question would be, can you tell me if there's even a measuring stick for it? What was the most impactful thing you gained from mentorship?
I gained the confidence that everything I needed, I already had. And the problem that was stopping me from achieving what I wanted to achieve was my personal discipline. Nothing more, nothing less.
Man, that's a bunch of game right there, man. That boy came loaded with the clips today. So make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Them rocks ain't work. You gotta go work. You know what I'm saying? And tell them to tell a friend to follow the First Generation Wealth Builders podcast, man, on YouTube and all podcasting networks, man. Tap in to Dealing with Drake, man. We're going to keep this thing going, man. This episode or this series specifically deals with me assisting Drake how to navigate and to get his first flip outside of his home that he recently did. And if you're that person who is looking to obtain the knowledge on how to obtain their first deal and executing, man, stay tapped in and or tell a friend to follow us at First Generation Wealth Builders. And I'll see you on the other side.